On the 14th bilunar perigee of the second dim season's equinox. The orphaner poses a caliginous riddle like no other I've met. I am presuming him bothered by jealousy, and it would be sickening if it were not so marvelously amusing. But then, who but royalty could have the thin cheek to show disdain for the manner in which his black lover conducts her red conquests? Less has accelerated meeker than I to homicide, and the violation would hold me aghast, again, if his misgivings did not complement his so endearing arsenal of quaint flaws. It is impossible to stifle his grin even now as I write. He surely understands this as my maritime overlord, a superior, while through gritting fangs he would concede the expense of my plunder, makes his seem hardly worth to trouble a mat with good ink over. I know he understands. I will take what I want. I expect nothing less from Dulskar, and truly, less would offend me. Is it the crude blood of the suitors from which I have taken enjoyments recently? If his displeasure is with my blithe treatment of the social order, then he has either not spent enough time in the warm company of my indifference, or is simply very stupid. I saw the look he gave. He's so secure in knowing I can't feel what's in his mind, he forgets the traitorous ways of his own face. His little looks are words to me, interjections in our deliciously bitter repartee. First a look as I summon a slave from the hold, with such ease between my remarks. Why, yes, Dulskar, they were the very slaves in your hold until but this hour. Another ship deployed carelessly, languishing in strategic vulnerability. Is this not a routine? Our dance? What does this look, my dear Kismesis? Is it shame? Envy? Contempt for what he knows will follow? I nod her over. She is fearful, and it makes her prettier. He scoffs without a movement or sound. I know there is disgust feeding the shadows in his corner of my block. At least prick her in the light, he surely thinks. Determine what vulgar hue she bleeds before persisting with your abasement, Marquise. Do try to understand, orphaner. Not knowing is the point, and if you truly understood this, your crusade against the Gamblignets would not be among our grand, high blood's most uproarious punchlines, if only one truly needed to be so high to find it amusing. And so not knowing, I will take her will, but leave enough of it to enjoy her response. Her hands are in my service, but they still shake. They unfasten the first button at my jacket's waist, clumsily. I have masked the line between my puppeteering and her volition exquisitely, and her uncertainty over her own control fuels her fear. She unfastens the second button, and between the second and third I make a casual remark to Dulskar, continuing our conversation. He does not respond. I look again at the face of my slave, imagining for a moment her mind is not an unguarded port to our every dread. I imagine I cannot feel her conviction that it's not merely a matter of whether she will be put to the irons, but how hot they will be if she fails to please. Poor thing. Her horns make attractive shapes and pair themselves pleasantly amidst her violent snarls of hair. Her fingers, which I have lost track of, to my surprise, have come between the petticoat and my skin. The heat of her touch tells me the likely range for the color of her blood. I wouldn't have guessed it to look at her, not with her signs stripped. Her mouth opens slightly, and I squint. Ah, razor sharp. And none missing. Perfect. How disappointing it is to find quivering lips hiding dull teeth. I pause to consider. What will her fear become if I choose to show her mercy later? And even, in days, kindness? Will this be the red dalliance that becomes fully fleshed? Love demands my cunning just as my raids. If it is to be, she will never understand how thoroughly she was manipulated. Her body, her mind, her devotion. I remember Dulskar again. My distraction from our banter was momentarily absolute, and I inquire into the shadows, but he is gone. Then go, my Kismesis. Fume with the indignation I gave you. I can only pray it blackens our bond. I must know such exhibitions agitate him, and hence why I bother. Otherwise it would be easy to dismiss him before I partook. Let it be a gift of antagonization to you, my dear rival, on which you may brew pitch for me anew. And if it was true envy, a vermilion yearning I can't abide, then though it pains me, it will be farewell. Alas, it may be that I am too good at sparing hate. Too good, at least for him. I only hope he is not so foolish as to tread a path of less torrid malice, for if he does... On the 16th, my suspicions have been confirmed. I'm not grinning any more, Dulskar. Our orderly contention has dissolved right before my Asian eightfold. It was once a handsome black, but now sits like good strong tea sullied and cold by unwelcome dairy. Thus my heart was broken twice. I was fond of the slave. There was surely promise in her red investment. He had her assassinated.